Hi, this is Eric Martin with Board Game Geek News. I'm here with Timo Motimaki from Dragon Dawn Productions. We're looking at Black Hats. This is the cover of a future release, a combination trick-taking board game you're telling us?
It's a board game where the base mechanic is trick-taking. And like my good friend Kevin Wilson said, it's a new kind of trick-taking game where the board actually has a very high amount of tactical options that affect the fact that whether you should take a trick or whether you definitely don't want to take a trick, and that's depending on the situation on the board. Let me show you how it's.
So what's the general goal? We're trying to get
general goal is that this is a game about hackers who are trying to hack into this system.
Okay.
And you want to do the hacking with as little traces as possible. All points are traces, so points are bad, so don't get any points. Okay. Basically you win by having the least amount of points, not by being the fastest hacker, but by doing it cleanly. Okay. So everyone would start with 10 cards. I'll give you now some cards to you and some for me. And like in any trick-taking game, you choose what you play. Let's assume that I would start and I would play, let's say, a pair of 12s. Should you then play something which is also a pair, like
no.
pair of...
I've got nothing.
Yep, no pairs, so then you play a single card. You are not allowed to pass. It's important to remember that in this game you are not allowed to pass. So I want this trick, so I will get to move one of my 2 hackers. Each of us has 2 hackers, so mine moves from here. So this means that instead of 5 points, I'll get 2 points in the end when we run out of cards. Okay. So for each one trick, you will move 1 step. So if you would win the next, you would be able to jump over me. So next you will see that this is minus points, which is really good. So we all know that the next trick after this is really interesting. Everyone wants to win exactly that trick, but not necessarily, for instance, this one. It's not that beneficial. But now, this particular trick is very lucrative. So, like this. Or if I would win, I would go like this. Okay. Then again, there are places like this, that if your guys are like this is a pit, like a trap. And if you go here, your pawn is stuck and it never moves again. So, would you like to go there? Probably not. So this is a trick where we know that you don't really want to take this trick, but for instance, because I'm here, I don't have any problem. So the difference between tricks is really big. Sometimes it's a trick that one of us wants to get, or maybe none of us wants to get. Sometimes it's a trick that everyone wants to get, or then it's indifferent. And as this has modular game board, you can easily variate to completely different kind of scenario. And
so what are the trick-taking rules that we have here? How many cards we get? I guess so we play through the round until everyone's out of cards, and then we score where we are?
First one is out of cards. When the first one is out of cards, you will count the points from the cards and from the board. It's 10-card hand, and we play until the first one runs out of cards, and then we count the points and deal another hand of 10 cards. Okay. So basically this takes about 45 minutes to play, almost regardless of player amounts. We have tested from 2 to 6 players. With 2 players you have to have this kind of like a robot that plays the third player, because as you might know, trick-taking games with only 2 players tend to be slightly boring. So then you need the robot. The specific thing in this game is the Black Hat, which will eventually have also the art as well.
Yes, I know. The artwork is forthcoming.
And this is 2-sided card, so everyone knows who has the Black Hat. It's very important. This card is kind of like Joker, but it also means that if you play the Black Hat, let's assume that you would have played a 7 and I would play the Black Hat. This is number 14 now. And it also means that the smallest one will win this trick. So if you started with 7 and thought that, yeah, well, I'm so going to win or so going to lose, this can change that direction quite nicely. And on the black hat round, all the cards go to the winner's hand. That's really nasty on a situation when I have very few cards, you have very few cards, and then I play that, and you notice that, okay, I have no cards, but you have plenty. Because now you would have 1 point, 3 points, 8 points, 9 points, 10 points, 11 points. I would have nothing. So, trick-taking board game, truly.
Okay. And what's the expected release date, or what's your plans for publication?
We have planned to have this in Kickstarter early January, and as this is much faster to produce than for instance the Abyss, we believe that this is going to be available in Gen Con next year.
Excellent. And so would this be your first time at Gen Con?
No, second time.
You went with Phantom League before?
I was there not this year but year before.
So what is this is kind of peripheral from the game, but what's the American market like in terms of how is it different from Europe, or what's the advantage or appeal of going to Gen Con?
Well, of course, it's a big event, and if you want to do anything in the USA, I think you need to be in Gen Con at least to show what you have done. Otherwise, no one hears about your games in the USA. So you were asking what's the difference between the European market and the US market. I would have to say that there are so many differences that it's hard to put that in a very short way. But I think this game is one of those that can appeal to both markets, because trick-taking is that type of a game that actually is played on both sides of the Atlantic.
Well, thanks very much for the overview. Good luck.
Thanks.